All right, man, peace. So for those of you brothers who've been on my channel for long enough, you'll know that I'm very fond of calling Mr. Russell Westbrook, the superstar point guard of the Oklahoma City Thunder, Russell Westbrook. Why is that? Because I believe that nickname is very apropos for him. As hyper talented as he is a horrific decision maker on the basketball court. He consistently takes terrible jump shots, and in the clutch, he almost always misses them, particularly in big games in the playoffs. In the regular season, oftentimes he'll make big clutch jump shots because he does have ice water in his veins. He's just a terrible jump shooter. And sometimes brothers come into my comments section and they'll say, you know, they're using your nickname for Westbrook here, or they're using your nickname for Westbrook there. That's not my nickname for him. I did not make that name up. Back in the 2015-2016 NBA regular season, when there was some debate over who was the best point guard in the NBA, Stephen Curry or Russell Westbrook, I would go on many of these NBA highlight videos where they would show a synopsis, a little highlight package of a game, and I would read some of the comments, and the Curry fans would be arguing with the Westbrook fans. And the Westbrook fans would call Stephen Curry Stephanie Curry. So the Curry fans started calling Russell Westbrook Russell Westbrook. And I thought that nickname was very, very suitable. So I started to use it myself. That's why I've been using it. I cannot speak for anybody else, but no, I cannot take credit for the genesis of that nickname. Now, James Hardhead, I did make that one up. Why am I bringing all this up? Because it seems as if Russell Westbrook's struggles from the free throw line, at least, may have something to do with a change that the NBA made in which they no longer allow the person who's shooting free throws to leave the free throw line and wander beyond the three-point line after they take their first free throw. Russell Westbrook supposedly is OCD, meaning he suffers from obsessive compulsive disorder, which many people do. For the most part, as human beings, we're all creatures of habit, especially if you're successful. You have to be a creature of habit if you're successful, but sometimes people take it too far. And there is a history of super successful people being extremely obsessive compulsive. So one of the members of this panel here, I believe that it's the middle member, Jackie McMullen, she's going to note that according to an article that was written by one of the beat writers for the Oklahoma City Thunder, a beat writer by the name of Royce Young, he states that ever since the NBA changed this rule and they no longer allow the person taking the free throw to wander beyond the three-point line in the middle of their free throws, Russell Westbrook has been struggling. He's a career 82-83% free throw shooter, and he's shooting 65% this season. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Tracy, I want to know if you think that the Thunder need Russ to get better as a shooter as the season goes along, to get those percentages back up to his career averages, or shooting less has been good and he should just keep doing what he's doing.
In the playoffs, Russell Westbrook is going to have to make jump shots. That's the bottom line. I don't care what he does overall, rebounding, stealing the basketball, assists, scoring down low, scoring around the basket. He's going to have to improve his proficiency as a jump shooter. I don't care how much you do overall. You're going to face teams that are going to game plan against you defensively. Golden State is going to make him take jump shots. So he's going to have to improve his proficiency in that area, bottom line.
Well, my advice is shoot better.
Okay.
I don't need him to shoot less.
Right, but come on, Tracy. Shoot better. Russell Westbrook can't get no better than what he is right now. He's 30 years old. He's on the downside, to be quite honest with you. He's over the peak. It's not quite noticeable, but he's over the peak. His peak was a couple of years ago. He probably peaked overall late in 2017. Now, 2018, he started to look over the other side of the peak, and now he's starting to scramble downwards. It's not noticeable yet, but you'll see probably another year and a half. You'll be like, wow, Russell Westbrook's starting to fall off. And no, I'm not calling Russell Westbrook Tom Brady. I'm not being another Max Kellerman predicting that Russell Westbrook is about to fall off the cliff. No, I'm not doing that. But you are going to notice a drop off in about a year and a half with Russell Westbrook.
Shoot better, because if he shoots better, they become a better ball club. They are a great defensive team. And I just think right now, with him shooting the ball the way he is, I think it's a little bit in his head, a little bit in his psyche.
Tracy McGrady, he can't get any better. Maybe what you're trying to say is that he should take smarter jump shots more in his range. Stop taking so many damn three-point shots. Russell Westbrook's range is somewhere in between 14 feet to 20 feet. He should only be taking wide open three-point shots.
If he shoots the ball better, they become a totally different basketball club because Paul George is playing at an MVP type level. I don't need him to shoot less. No, these guys are in the third spot, and it's crazy. He's averaging a triple-double, and he's not playing great basketball.
Well, see, I would say he is playing really good basketball. He's just not scoring the ball as the way he did.
He's not shooting well.
Right. So that's why he needs to shoot less, my friend. You just said.
I disagree with the both of you. He just needs to take better jump shots. Tracy's saying he needs to shoot better. He can't get any better, Tracy McGrady. At 30, 31 years old, however old Russ is, maybe 29, he's not going to get any better as a jump shooter. He's worked very hard on his craft in the offseason. Some people just have it, some people just don't. I don't even think that he needs to shoot less. He just needs to shoot better jump shots. If he's going to take jump shots, shoot better jump shots. He's really only taking probably around 17, 18 shots a game. Pull in from the three-point line instead of pulling up from 25 feet and trying to take all these threes off the dribble. Take an 18-footer, 17-footer. The problem is that we're living in this era of analytics-driven basketball, and they're telling all these guys to either go for layups or take three-point shots. No. There are certain players who should be taking, at the most, long twos. Russell Westbrook is one of them.
You just said yourself that Paul George is having an otherworldly season. So when you're shooting 24% from three, if he was playing against guys that were shooting that, he'd be trolling them up and down the floor. I'm just going to say.
Right.
So I want the ball in Paul George's hands a little more. And this is what I've always... Westbrook plays harder than anybody. I'll say that forever. Plays harder than anybody in the league. But sometimes he gets caught up in his own mind.
Well, one of the reasons, to be quite frank with you, why it's so difficult for Russell Westbrook to grow as a basketball player is because outside of LeBron James, Russell Westbrook probably has the strongest cult of personality amongst the NBA media of any player in the league. So finally, people are starting to tell him to take better jump shots, or they're approaching that notion of telling him to play smarter basketball. Outside of Colin Cowherd, I've heard very few NBA pundits who are willing to address Russell Westbrook's decision-making problems.
And he's got to go to the hole, and he's got to do it all himself. You go to the hole and draw those players, and you have Paul George waiting for you out there, I want you to kick the ball out. And he reminds me of Harden in this. When the game gets on the line and the game gets tough, he feels like he's got to do it all himself at 1,000 miles an hour.
Because that's what he's been doing all season. And I've already stated that James Hardhead and Russell Westbrook, they're like two peas in a pod. And other people are noticing it. They both play a very similar type of game. That's not particularly IQ driven. It's usage rate driven. They have to have the basketball in their hands to be effective. At least that's how they think. Because deep down they know neither one of them are particularly good catch and shoot ball players. They like to shoot off the dribble, which is why both of them have very low field goal percentages. James Harden is normally somewhere around 43, 44%. Russell is normally around that area as well. So in order for them to get their shooting percentages up, they're going to have to adapt their game. They're going to have to diversify their game.
And just like Harden, he becomes a volume shooter, and I don't think that's ever good for Oklahoma City.
Agreed.
Here's what I say. They could get by with him playing this way, shooting the ball this way in a regular season.
Agreed.
But in a 7-game series, he has to play. He has to shoot the ball better. Absolutely. They won't win a series.
And the free throw shooting, don't you find that to me is the most curious part of all, because he is all about positive self-talk. Right, but that's the point I'm saying.
Royce Young had a great...
Go through injuries in your career, and it's continuous injuries, it messes with your psyche a little bit, and you lose a bit of your edge.
Royce Young had a great article about this last month, and he pointed something out that I hadn't taken into account. We all know, right, Russ is a little... I don't want to say OCD, but he's very particular about his routines, right? We've heard for years he needs that peanut butter and jelly sandwich cut diagonally before every game. He has all these little routines.
Once again, most successful people, period, not just athletes, are OCD. Michael Jordan had to wear his North Carolina basketball shorts underneath his professional basketball shorts every game, or he would lose his mind. So it's very common for top-level athletes and just successful people in general to be OCD. And obviously it was not Jackie McMullen who brought up the point about Royce Young. It was Rachel Nichols.
The NBA changed a rule, Royce pointed out, where you couldn't, in between your free throws, walk outside the three-point line and then walk back because they were trying to speed up the game, and that was part of his routine.
I don't understand why that makes any sense when you're only going to get 10 seconds anyway. So if a player wants to walk outside the three-point line and then come back, He has a 10-second count as it is. Let him do what he wants to do for those 10 seconds.
And that threw Russ off so much toward the end.
I mean, unless they've changed the rule for the 10-second count, and I have not heard about it.
Toward the end of last year, and then starting again at the beginning of this year, that Royce's point in the article was that he thinks it's affected his shooting overall, that's
Really
how it has gotten in his head.
Because I saw Russ change his free throw routine where he takes his hand and do like a deeper. I've never seen him do that.
Right, because I think he's looking for something to do, because he can't
He's
do,
trying to find
and that's
it.
the other thing he was doing. But Jackie, I would say, to your point about, you said he was like Harden, he's got to do it all himself toward the end, that's what we have seen change. As you point out, he's drawing these defenders to the hole, and then we've seen in several key games, he does kick it out to Paul George. He has kicked it out to others of his team.
When the game is on the line and they need a basket, he goes back to being the emotional shooter that he's been his entire career.
Well, I have to give Russell Westbrook a bit more credit than that. He has been eager to move the basketball, even in clutch moments, and he has given the ball to Mr. Paul George when the moments were crucial. He has had other occasions where he's taken bad shots, but we do have to give him credit where credit is due.
And that's not always bad, but it's not always good either.
I
will tell you, get into routines like that. I remember Doc Rivers telling me, Ray Allen came and Ray's like, I need to do this, I need to be on the bus. And Doc said, I'm just going to tell you right now, it's not going to happen.
Right.
Because routines change, the world changes. I'm not going to have you, because Ray is OCD. And he made him say, nope, we're going to burst that bubble. You got to get out there and be able to deal with anything.
That was very smart of Doc Rivers to nip that in the butt immediately.
I would say that through Ray Allen's career, his routine stayed with him. Certainly Russ's have as well.
But anyway, that's basically it on that. We'll see how things go for Mr. Russell Westbrook, and if he's able to contort, change, alter, or improve his free throw numbers and move past his alleged obsessive compulsive disorder. So peace.